In a part of Indiana where quiet cul-de-sacs meet bustling corridors, everyday Hoosiers grapple with rising costs, busy schools, and the future of their communities. They deserve leadership that listens before it legislates, that serves before it speaks, that understands service, not as a slogan, but as a lifetime commitment. Today, we begin with a leader whose story is woven from decades of service, from military deployments overseas to neighborhood advocacy at home. This is the voice of someone asking not what politics can do for them, but what they can do for us.
Won't obey. You cannot tell me what I cannot say.
Welcome back to the show. In this episode, we're launching a special conversation with someone at the heart of Indiana's 31st State Senate District, a community that stretches across Fishers, Geist, and Oaklandon. Today's guest is Lasima Packett, a decorated veteran of the Indiana Army National Guard, a community advocate, a mother, a grandmother, and a candidate running to represent this district in the Indiana State Senate. After a 20-year military career serving both at home and abroad, Lasima has focused her energy on bringing people together to solve problems, from housing and infrastructure to education and civic engagement. She's campaigning on a platform of bipartisan solutions rooted in healthy families, strong communities, and responsible governments. Laisma, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me here. I really appreciate this opportunity to have this conversation with you around District 31 and around the work that I hope to be doing at the State House.
Fishers and surrounding communities are growing rapidly. How would you balance economic growth with protecting neighborhood character, infrastructure capacity, and a green space for places like Geist and Saxony Village?
Yes, most definitely. Folks have really chosen to live in these neighborhoods like Geis and Saxony because of those green spaces and the walkability, just the quality of life, right? So while Fisher still has some space to grow, um, I think I also appreciate the development that has happened thus far. I believe that growth has been intentional about infrastructure and thoughtful about maintaining the culture and the character of these neighborhoods, right? And I do also believe that they have been intentional about maintaining and creating new green spaces. So, one thing that I personally believe that I do well is I collaborate well with community stakeholders. So, I would really look forward to engaging with people who live and work in this area and to hear their thoughts first and how they believe the area should be maintained or improved. At the state level, I would push through thoughtful and well planned out infrastructure. And that means by like trying to provide state incentives for real structure capacity, right? Like roads, schools, and our stormwater.
Many residents in Fishers and Oaklandon are feeling squeezed by the rising rents and home prices. What specific state level policies would you support to expand affordable and workforce housing in District 31?
Yeah, let me start by saying like housing is like a huge passion of mine. Um, I've just been drawn to it on both sides in my last few years working as a neighborhood advocate. Um, I've heard a lot about housing, both from those who are unhoused as well as those, um, in neighbors and homes. But I believe that teachers, first responders, and our service workers, they all should be able to live where they work. So I want to support state incentives for mixed income housing, flexible zoning that allows maybe more duplexes, townhomes, and communities where the community decides that they want them, right? And also maybe some stronger renter protections. Um, we also need to stop pretending like this is just a local issue when we talk about housing shortages, right? State policy can absolutely shape housing cost. I believe a housing first means that we are making sure that people can afford to live in stable places in the communities where they work as well, right? And so, at a state level, I believe that we should be supporting incentives for developers, right, who are going to include workforce housing, not just luxury units that are like so out of price that, the community can't even support to live in those, right? I want to expand private public partnerships. And I want to ultimately just help those who live and work in this community, including our seniors, stay in District 31. I think it's doable. I've seen it over the last few years as a neighborhood advocate. And ultimately, I believe when housing is stable, our families thrive, our communities are stronger, and folks stay in those communities.
Hamilton County schools are often praised, but teachers and support staff still report burnout and underfunding. What changes would you push for at the State House to better support public schools, educators, and students in this district?
Yes. So another one of my top um, platforms is about education. I am a daughter of a mother who was a public school teacher for over 30 years. I know what that struggle looks like. And so I really want to first make sure that our teachers are well paid and that our classrooms are well supported, that they're supported with the staff that is there, the right amount of staff, the necessary supplies. I hate seeing teachers coming out of their own pockets to support classrooms, right? It just like breaks my heart. So ultimately, I believe in prioritizing education funding to ensure that our schools have the resources that they need. This includes advocating for increased salaries for our teachers, as well as mental health support for both teachers and our students, right? Mental health is a serious health issue and concern that our state overall, right, is ignoring. Better support in the classroom, maybe fewer unfunded mandates from the state house as well, right? And overall, just stable and predictable funding. If we value education, our budget should really show it.
Property taxes are a major concern for homeowners, especially seniors in established areas like Geist and Oak Landon. What reforms would you advocate for to provide relief without shifting the burden onto local services?
Well, seniors shouldn't be taxed out of their home, right? So kind of back to that again, like as I mentioned earlier, housing is just a huge part of I think a lot of the challenges that people face today. And so we can tax folks out of being able to afford where they live. So I want to support targeted relief, expand circuit breakers, um, tax credits, income based caps without draining funds. As we know, we have a new legislation, SB1, that is taking money from our fire, police, and schools, right? So I think that we can practice some more responsible tax policies that don't impact us by cutting our public services short. I think relief shouldn't come at the cost of our community.
Traffic congestion continues to grow along corridors connecting Fishers, Luxhaven, and Indianapolis. What investments or policy changes do you believe are necessary to improve transportation, road safety, and long term planning?
Well, traffic can be annoying. We all know and we all agree, no matter what part of the city or the area or the state that you're in. But honestly, it's really a safety and a quality of life issue. And I would advocate for responsible investment in public transportations and improved road infrastructure. We need smarter state investment in road designs, better conditions, and better coordination with Indianapolis, live and commute. Traffic congestion along these corridors, to including connecting Indianapolis, Fixtures, Luxhaven, is a result of growth outpacing infrastructure, right? And so addressing it will require a targeted road investment, safety improvements, and long term coordination between the state and local levels of government. At the state, we should prioritize funding these corridors, upgrading on high volume commuter routes, and we should also be investing in traffic safety measures, right? Like maybe more bike lanes, signal timing, and pedestrian precautions as well. Ultimately, transportation planning should reduce stress and not add to it.
When I look back when I was younger, growing up in your district, I remember when 96th Street was a two-lane road, when there
Wow.
wasn't a bridge over the White River at
Yeah.
96th Street. I mean, it shows you how much that area can grow in 30 years. I remember when Oak Landon was a couple neighborhoods and nothing but farm fields.
Yeah.
And now you go into Oak Landon and it's just a continuation of Indianapolis.
Absolutely.
Indiana still ranks poorly on several health outcomes. How would you work to expand access to affordable healthcare, mental health services for families in District 31, especially working parents and seniors?
Yes. Indiana's health ranking doesn't reflect a lack of caring. It just reflects a lack of poor policy making, right? I would love to work on an expanding Medicaid eligibility, advocating for telehealth services to reach more residents so more folks have access. And I would also want to strengthen our healthcare workforce, right? And again, expanding mental health access, allowing us to treat mental health like the essential care it is. I remember maybe 10 years ago, I went into an old state mental health hospital, and I went in there to take photos. And as you walked around the building, you could see that items were left at people's desks like, when they just flipped the switch and said, "Do not come to work tomorrow." And ultimately, I feel like that is what has happened to mental health. Right? And the conversation around it. Someone flipped a switch and decided it was not worth investing in. And unfortunately, today we are seeing some of the long term effects from that click, right? And so we need to come back around to that and start having these conversations about what does a healthy Indiana look like? What does support look like for those who need real support around mental health? Healthcare should be accessible before it absolutely becomes an emergency. And far too often, we have seen on the news where healthcare and mental health care has become just that, an emergency.
Geist Reservoir is both a recreational asset and drinking water source. What role should the state play in protecting water quality, managing runoff, and addressing environmental risks tied to rapid development?
Yeah. You're right. Geist is not just a lake. It's not just a place where we go and play and ride on our boats, right? It is our drinking water as well. And the state should enforce strong runoff controls, invest in water monitoring, quality water monitoring, and responsible developmental practices. Clean water is non-negotiable. We all need it and we need it to survive. The state must play an active role in protecting our water resources. I would advocate for stronger and stricter regulations on runoff and on pollution. I would love to collaborate with local governments and environmental organizations that are essentially there to ensure that our water quality remains safe for both recreation and for consumption. Protecting our water is protecting public health.
Fishers is home to many professionals, small business owners, and service workers. How would you support small businesses and ensure economic policies benefit workers at all income levels, not just large
Yeah.
employers.
Yeah, that's so important, isn't it? Fisher has a strong local economy, right? And it's built largely on small and locally owned businesses. And I have this beautiful nail shop that I go to every couple of weeks, and I know what that working family does and puts into their business to serve this community, right? There's a cleaners right down the way. The woman that works there has accommodated me on short notice, right? So we want to make sure that these type of businesses stay strong and healthy and they survive, right? So again, the city has more than 5,000 businesses, and about 8% of our residents are self-employed. So as you can see, small businesses are the true backbone of our district, but we need fair access to capital, predictable regulations, and a workforce that can afford to live here. Again, it circles back to that housing first kind of model, right? Businesses need certainty to plan, to hire, and to further invest in their businesses, right? My role is to make sure that policy changes are thoughtful, phased, and transparent. Economic policy should lift workers and employers, not just corporations and lobbyists. I would love to advocate for policies that provide resources such as grants and training programs for small businesses and ensure fair wage benefits for all workers. I believe we all want to see the state minimum wage increase. And I think that plays a significant part in this as well, right? These steps and more should help create a more equitable economic development here in our district.
Indiana lawmakers have increasingly limited local decision making. Where do you draw the line between state authority and local control? How would you defend communities like Fishers from a one size fits all mandates?
Yeah, I saw some of this play out last year, right around Indianapolis. They had instituted a rule, a law, or ordinance about not turning right in the downtown area, and the state wanted to step in and like make decisions for what was best for that community, and I just found it really ridiculous, right? I think the cities and the local governments and the people that live in those communities know what's best for their everyday work and live and play life, right? So I believe these decisions should be made as close as possible to the people. The state has a role in setting baseline standards, that's a given. But local governments, like I said, are best positioned to make these decisions on land use, infrastructure, and community development. I draw the line where state policy overrides local expertise and voters accountability without clear statewide need. One size fit all mandates don't work for District 31. I'll defend local authority and push back when state house overrides communities without listening. And far too often, we've seen that happen. Local voices matter, especially when they are the ones closest to the impact.
Many voters feel the state house is disconnected from everyday people. If elected, how will you stay accessible and accountable to residents across the district? And how would you measure whether you're actually delivering results?
Yeah. So I won't disappear behind the title or the position. I mentioned earlier that one of the things that I do well is I engage with stakeholders well. So I would love the opportunity to listen and lead with listening first, right? I want to hold regular town halls in different parts of the district, Lawrence, Fishers, and then as well as some of the smaller communities. And I want to hold these not just during session, but year round. I plan to publish clear updates and measure success by what actually improves people's lives. What does that look like, right? That looks like, are costs lower? Are the roads safer? Do we have stronger public services like schools and a fire department? If elected, I would prioritize transparency and communication with residents. I would love again to hold those town halls, meetings, online question and answer sessions. And I just want to stay engaged and active in the community. To measure my success, I would establish clear goals and metrics and regularly report progress to the community to ensure my accountability. If I'm not accessible, then I'm not doing my job.
Do you have anything that you would like to say directly to the voters of the 31st district?
Absolutely. At the end of the day, District 31 isn't just a district on a map. It's our home. It's where we live, work, and play. And people are tired of politics that feels disconnected from their real lives. My commitment is to listen and lead with integrity and to make sure we are creating policy that actually works for the people who live here. When it's said and done, success will be measured by whether families are better off. I want residents of District 31 to be able to say, she listened, she showed up, and she delivered.
All right, before we wrap up, it's time for one of our signature segments here on the show. This is Hold 'em or Fold 'em.
Okay.
I'm going to give you a series of quick yes no questions. No speeches, no hedging. If it's a position you stand by, you hold them. If it's something you reject, you fold them. Are you ready?
Yes.
Indiana should increase teacher pay statewide, even if it means reallocating funds from other areas.
Hold them.
The state has gone too far in overriding local control for cities like Fishers.
Yes. Hold them.
Property tax relief should prioritize seniors and longtime homeowners in places like Geist and Oak Landing.
Yes. Hold them.
Indiana should expand access to mental health services through schools.
Absolutely. Hold them.
Rapid development in District 31 needs stronger environmental safeguards, especially around Geist.
Hold them.
The state should invest more in public transportation and infrastructure in fast growing suburban districts.
Absolutely. Hold them.
Healthcare should be treated as a right, not a privilege.
Absolutely. Hold them.
Indiana lawmakers should be required to follow the same ethics and transparency rules as local officials.
Absolutely. Hold them.
Corporate tax incentives should come with a stricter accountability and clawbacks.
Absolutely. Hold them.
Miss Packett, thank you for taking the time to join us today. Not just to talk about policy, but to talk about people. Indiana's 31st district is growing, changing, and asking hard questions about its future. Conversations like this matter because they give voters something rare in modern politics: clarity, not talking points, not slogans, but where someone actually stands. We appreciate your willingness to step into that space, to answer directly, and to put your record, your values, your vision on the table for the people of Fishers, Geist, and Oak Landing to judge for themselves. To our viewers and listeners, this is what democracy is supposed to look like: informed voters, open conversations, and leaders who show up. As always, we encourage you to listen closely, verify claims, and look at the receipts, and engage, not just during election season, but every day. So stay informed, ask questions, and as always, hold them accountable.